Hi, I'm Todd Barton, here to take you through the new Buchla music easel. Let's get rolling.
Step 1. Set the knobs, sliders, and switches on the music easel to their default settings, as shown on the printed Quick Start guide or as you're viewing on screen. Connect the main audio output at the side of the easel case to your sound system, or connect headphones in the output section, or use the left-right audio outputs at the top of the 208 sound module. Step 2. Raise the level 1 slider under the dual low-pass gate to its maximum position of 10. This opens the voltage-controlled amplifier, allowing the sound of the 208's complex oscillator to be heard. If your system is set to the factory default, you'll hear a low, square-wave drone. Step 3. Raise the pitch slider under the complex oscillator to the 220 mark. This will produce a low A at 220 Hz. Step 4. Set the complex oscillator's waveform selector switch, labeled timbre, to the triangle wave and turn the wave blend knob immediately above the selector to 0. Raise and lower the oscillator's timbre slider, noting its effect on the sound. Step 5. Now it's time to add a second oscillator. Raise the level 2 slider in the dual low-pass gate to 10 to allow the sound from the modulation oscillator to play through the VCA. Use the mod oscillator's frequency slider and fine-tuning control to match its pitch to the complex oscillator. We'll now give the sound a shape by using the envelope generator to control the dual low-pass gate. Doing so requires that we move to the next level of easel programming using patch cables and the capacitance keyboard. Step 6. Using 3 of the included banana jack cables, connect the pulse, pressure, and main CV outputs at the top left of the keyboard to the pulse, pressure, and pitch CV inputs at the lower left of the 208 sound module. Then set the envelope generator's attack, sustain, and decay sliders as shown. Step 7. Next, we'll patch the CV output of the envelope generator into the dual low-pass gate's CV inputs, the 2 black banana jacks with arrows pointing to the sliders adjacent to the level 1 and 2 sliders. Use one of the included banana plug shorting bars to connect the orange CV out from the envelope generator to the black CV input immediately to its left, level 1 CV in. Now take a short banana cable and plug one end into the stacked orange CV output and the other into the black CV input immediately to its right, the level 2 CV input. Step 8. Lower the level 1 and level 2 sliders to their minimum positions and raise the corresponding level 1 and 2 CV input sliders to their maximum positions. The dual low-pass gate will now open and close entirely in response to the control voltages from the envelope generator. Play some notes on the keyboard to audition your handiwork.
Now that you've had a taste of the music easel, let's take a more in-depth look at all the sections, beginning with the output section.
All sounds that the music easel produces are ultimately routed through the output section at the right-hand side of the 208 sound module. At the bottom of the output section is the master volume control, set to a comfortable listening level. Above that is the monitor level control, which controls the volume to your headphones. The next knob controls the level of the built-in spring reverb. The next two controls are the independent volume levels of the oscillators. The channel A knob is directly connected to the output of the complex oscillator, channel B directly connected to the output of the modulation oscillator. At the top of the output section is the CV output from the modulation oscillator. This voltage can be used to control any of the CV inputs on the music easel.
All sound generated by the music easel is ultimately routed through the dual low-pass gate. Let's take a look at its functions.
The dual low-pass gate is where you can control the volume and the filtering of a sound. At the bottom are the level controls for the individual oscillators, either direct to the amplifier or via CV, such as from an envelope or the pulsar. Above the sliders are two switches that control the function of the dual low-pass gate. In the top position, it's a low-pass filter. In the bottom position, it's a voltage-controlled amplifier. In the middle, it's a combination of the two. These functions are available independently per oscillator, labeled Gate 1 and Gate 2. The source for Gate 2 is selected from the switch immediately above. The sources can be the external audio input, the modulation oscillator, or the complex oscillator. At the top of the module is the combination preamp and envelope detector. You can plug an external audio signal into the auxiliary input and route it through the easel, or use the envelope detector to extract control voltage information from that same signal.
The heart of the Buchla sound is the complex oscillator. Let's explore it now.
First, we have the keyboard switch, which determines whether or not the oscillator will respond to keyboard control. The trim pot next to the switch controls keyboard scaling. Use it to set the volts per octave. The polarity switch affects the control voltage that is applied to the oscillator's pitch. When the switch is in the plus position, the voltage comes in unaffected. When in the minus position, the voltage is inverted. The fine-tuning control allows you to tune the oscillator precisely. Next is the waveform selector switch. You can choose among sawtooth, square, or triangle waves. When the rotary control is fully clockwise, the oscillator produces these waveforms. When the control is fully counterclockwise, at the 0 position, the oscillator produces a sine wave, regardless of the position of the waveform selector switch. The rotary control determines the balance between a sine wave and the selected waveform, offering you a wide variety of wave shapes to begin your sonic explorations. The pitch slider is used to manually set the oscillator's fundamental pitch. The slider to its immediate left allows you to control the oscillator's pitch from a control voltage, such as the envelope generator. The timbre slider is used to generate complex waveforms and timbres from a simple sine wave. To use it, set the rotary waveform control fully counterclockwise so that the oscillator is generating a sine wave. Raise and lower the timbre slider to hear its effect. The action of the timbre slider can be automated with a control voltage. We'll use the envelope generator to create a simple filter effect. Above the complex oscillator is the inverter. Use this to invert any control voltage before passing it on to its final destination.
The music easel has a second oscillator which can be used as an audio source or can generate control voltages. Let's take a look at the modulation oscillator.
The applications of this oscillator are determined largely by its operating frequency range, set with this switch. In the high range mode, the oscillator produces sound in the audio range and can be used as a second oscillator for fat, detuned sounds, interval harmonies, dual melodies, and the like. In the low range mode, the oscillator functions as an extremely flexible control voltage source that can be routed to any Easel CV input. The modulation oscillator controls include keyboard on and off. Use in the off position when the oscillator is being used as a modulation source and you want the control voltage output to remain constant regardless of the note being played. Use in the on position when you want the oscillator to track the keyboard for either audio or modulation applications. The trim control operates identically to the trim on the complex oscillator. Use it to set the oscillator's volts per octave. The fine-tune control gives you precise control over the pitch of the oscillator. The wave shape switch gives you access to three waveforms: sawtooth, square, and triangle. The modulation switch determines the type of modulation that the oscillator produces, as well as the routing of that modulation. In FM and AM modes, the output of the modulation oscillator frequency modulates in FM or amplitude modulates in AM, the complex oscillator. In balanced, or ring modulation mode, the modulation is applied to the modulation oscillator itself, with the source of the modulation coming from audio appearing at the external audio input jack. The modulation oscillator features four sliders, one to set the frequency, a second for control voltage of the frequency, a third to set the modulation amount, and the fourth for control voltage of that modulation amount.
Now let's look at the constellation of control voltage processors: the pulsar, the envelope generator, and the sequencer.
The pulsar is used to generate triggers. It can be used to drive any of the CV inputs on the easel, or the envelope generator, or the sequencer. 3 trigger modes are available: keyboard, self-triggering, or triggering from the sequencer. 3 trigger modes are also available: triggered mode, where it repeats, once, where a one-shot trigger is generated, and off. 2 sliders are provided. The period slider is used to control the rate at which the pulsar fires its triggers. The control voltage input next to the period slider allows the rate to be controlled from an external voltage. We'll initiate the pulsar with a note from our keyboard, then kick it into self-trigger mode. The envelope generator features 3 sliders, controlling attack, sustain, and decay times. Fastest times are at the top throw of the slider's range, so our envelope generator is currently set for a very fast attack time, a moderately fast sustain, and a medium decay. The sequential voltage source gives you 5 programmable voltages that can be routed to any of the Music Easel's CV inputs. 3 trigger modes are available: triggering from the keyboard, triggering from the pulsar, and off. And you can choose how many stages of sequence you want: 3, 4, or 5. The 5 switches in the middle of the sequencer determine whether or not a voltage is output at each of those stages. In the up position, no voltage is output. In the down position, the output, as determined by the position of the slider immediately below the switch, is output. We'll use the sequencer to control the pitch of the complex oscillator. Patching on the Music Easel is ingeniously simple. Each of the control voltage sources is color-coded: blue for sequencer, orange for envelope generator, yellow for pulsar, purple for keyboard pressure, white for random voltage. Black jacks are all CV inputs. Control voltages appearing at these inputs are routed to the slider directly above them, as indicated by the arrow. For example, to control the timbre of the complex oscillator with the envelope generator, simply patch the orange envelope generator out into the black timbre control CV in. To control the dual low-pass gate with the envelope generator, simply patch the envelope generator out into the level 1 CV control. Then patch the output of the envelope generator into the level 2 CV input. Note that the same control voltage appears at all light-colored jacks, so you can easily route a control voltage source to multiple destinations. The exception to this rule are the white random voltage output jacks. Each one of the 4 features a different random voltage. Experiment to find the ones that work well for you.
Now let's take a look at the keyboard.
The Music Easel keyboard is a voltage control generator with some traditional keyboard controls. First is the portamento, which controls the lag time between one note and the next. arpeggiator will automatically play any notes that are held down, either in random order or in ascending order. Four preset voltage source pads are provided along with corresponding controls. In the none position, the pads are inactivated. In the octave position, each pad changes the range of the keyboard by 1 octave. In the preset position, each pad's note range is determined by the setting of the control immediately above the pad. The Music Easel features a capacitance sensing keyboard. The greater the area of the key that you cover, the more voltage is generated. Play a simple note on, and you get a note on. Lay your finger flat, and you get the equivalent of pressure. We'll use pressure to control the timbre of the complex oscillator.
Not only does the Music Easel have all the modules you need to make the music from your imagination, the beauty of it is you can pack it up and take it anywhere.